Hello! So I've actually been able to hold off on really getting into the Halloween Oracle that I showed in one of my first or my second witchy hauls. So it's been a while. So now it's finally October and I want to get into it. So I thought what I might do is make like sort of a mini series for the month of October. What my plan is I'm just going to follow the book's order for the cards. And what I would like is for the Veil card, which is like I think maybe like the fifth last card, to be the card for Samway, because I think that fits very nicely there. Which leaves about 4 or 5, somewhere around there, cards going into November, which will stretch Halloween out slightly for me, a little bit longer for a few days, which is awesome for me, so I'm kind of happy like that. But also means I should have started, because there's 36 cards, I should have started on the last day of September, so about 2 days ago. So that means that I will be reviewing 3 cards in this intro to catch up. One of the reasons why I didn't film that day is because I wanted to get a journal that kind of went along with this, because I really love this oracle. It just looks beautiful. I love Halloween, and I just wanted to make a thing of it for myself. You would think that there would be a proper sized notebook with some sort of Halloween something, like a pumpkin or something on it, that I could have gone out and found, but I couldn't. They only had little flip books about the size of the cards here that had really childish, I mean, these sort of have childish pictures on here too, but the childish pictures on those flip books were even more childish than this. And don't get me wrong, I think these pictures on here are actually really cute, but the flip books that they had, A, that I wouldn't be able to journal properly with them because they're of the size of them, and B, they just weren't appealing to me at all. So I ended up coming home and finding just a blank notebook like this one here. And I found some pumpkin pictures from this West Coast Seeds catalog. And a little, they had a solar motion detector owl thing in there too. And then I just glued them on and put drew little faces on them to try and make it a little bit more Halloween-y. And the back, and they had a little label thing, or where you put a name or whatever on there, so I covered that up, and then I covered up the barcode on the back. So yeah, that's my Halloween journal that I kind of made to go along with the deck. Even did a little sort of cover page. Usually my journals that I for tarot and oracle isn't quite as ornate as that, but this one, it's Halloween, it's fancy. I want it. I know it's just a journal for this, but yeah, I still want to do it. My plan also for these videos is that they'll be just like one a day for the month, and a little bit longer than a month. And I know I do relatively short videos generally, not all the time, but generally, but these are going to be even shorter. They're going to be like a minute or 2 video that I upload every day. And it's just going to be a sort of a review of the card, like a daily draw sort of thing, except I'm going by the book for order. And I'll read out what the book has to say too. The book doesn't have overly long explanations, so you have to put up with me reading, I suppose. I don't know. It's a really nice book. So yeah, let's get into the cards so I can get caught up. The first card is Ancestors, and I've already started writing them down a little bit so that this goes a little bit smoother and quicker. And so my first impressions, and if you see any spelling mistakes, I'm sorry, I have horrible spelling. So Ancestors, the lore and legacy of DNA. So basically you see a big sturdy tree there with roots going down deep and branches going up off the frame. And instantly it makes me think of like the tree of life. And then you have this vine connecting the roots to the branches that looks like the double helix DNA. And it looks like there might be a little bit of blood on there, so that instantly makes me think of like blood bonds and family, ancestors, obviously, connecting the past to the present or the future even. The DNA is growing, it's alive, and it's growing. The card itself actually sort of reminds me of when I was a teenager visiting family in Scotland, They're like second, third cousins. And we were walking along a path in a forest in Scotland, and the lighting was very similar to this. And it made me think about the connection to that place through my ancestors. My ancestors could have been walking the same path or a very similar path in a very similar forest, and it just made me feel a little bit more connected to that area. And it looked very similar, the lighting and everything, to this card. Also, the lore and legacy of your DNA. So it gives you like a connection to your ancestors, your past, your DNA, health, but also spiritually a connection to the past, your past, to your ancestors and that culture, possibly. The lighting and everything makes me sort of think of like looking for the truth in your ancestors and your DNA and your culture, or maybe even looking for hard facts about your culture, your family, your genetics, or even simply your blood, like maybe getting a blood test, making sure you're healthy. And then there's also the genetic memory and wisdom, like how elephants pass down memories of where certain watering holes are. I'm finding that humans can sort of pass down some sort of memories or aptitudes as well, to an extent. It just sort of makes me think of like taking a moment to walk the path of your ancestors, whatever that might be for you. So let's look at and see what the book has to say. The cards. So as you can see, they're not over elaborate on their information, so it shouldn't take too long, but it's a nice little book. What it says about the ancestors, the love and legacy of our DNA, is each card has a little, sort of like a little short poem type of thing, and then it goes into a description. So the short little poem is, I walk in their footsteps. Their wisdom inside me remains. I am unique, yet carry a legacy. Their blood runs in my veins. Whether or not we know our ancestors, we are the product of those who have lived before us, DNA-wise. Externally, we may have the body type of our father, our mother's eyes, our grandmother's nose, our great-grandfather's skin tone. On the inside, it gets even more interesting. We know that we can inherit the way our body works, even propensities for aspects of brain function like introversion, musicality, and mathematics. Many pagan paths associated with Halloween believe that we are born perfectly imperfect, to be exactly what we are meant to be. What does this mean? It means that the gifts our ancestors have left us and the unique synergy of the combination of the physical, mental, and physical that is created within us sets us up perfectly to achieve our ultimate purpose. Should the Ancestors card bring itself to your attention, know that you are ready and able to action your birthright of power. You have the support of those who came before you. There may be challenges or struggles, but you have everything you need to overcome them. You will prevail. I like this line here where it says, we are born perfectly imperfect, to be exactly what we are meant to be. And that means that the gifts that our ancestors have left us and the unique synergy of the combination of those gifts that we have inherited, of everything that makes us us basically, is exactly who we're meant to be. It sets us up for what our purpose in life is supposed to be. I like that whole idea there. And it's also nice to know that maybe if this card comes up for you, it's time to exercise your birthright of power, whatever that might be. And a warm and fuzzy sort of is that you have the support of those who came before you. So it seems like a very nice, positive card. I can see this card pointing you in the direction you might need to go, depending on where you have it in the spread. Sort of a signpost card, I would perceive it as that. So the second card, which would have been the 1st of October, is the Apple card, and it is risk and reward. I also like that the card's borders, the little borders here, they're different colors. They kind of go along with the picture. So that's kind of neat, nice little touch. I don't mind borders when they're incorporated like this. Oh, I also edged this deck. It was one of the decks I did it in silver. because I did it that because of the back. I had sort of a gray. There's lots of black here anyway, so debated doing black, but I ended up doing silver instead because I thought it tied the back together the best. Anyways, yeah. So my first impressions of this card is, you know, it's an apple in a hand, and apples have so much meaning behind them. There's, makes me instantly think of Snow White. I don't know why this picture makes me think of Snow White over everything else, but it does. I guess maybe the bite in it. Also sort of like the hand is offering the apple. It's almost like the hand is supporting or nurturing the apple as well. In all different cultures, the apple has lots of different associations. There's also the whole Adam and Eve thing. So this blood dripping makes me sort of think of like the whole poison aspect, or like something forbidden. Also, when you look at the heart, I mean, apples in Celtic mythology, I know from my other set of cards that I worked on, is like a rejuvenation thing. It has to do with relationships and love and having fulfilled desires. But if you look there, it almost like looks like there's like an eyes, a nose, and possibly a mouth, almost a little bit skull-ish. I don't know, so that could possibly indicate poison as well. If it's supposed to sort of be a really faint skull, I don't know. But then there's also like the apple blossom there, which is sort of like, to me, symbolizes rejuvenation and beauty and the more lighter side of it. So, but it's about risk and reward, which makes me think of being in love, being emotions, being open. Anytime that you're open to that extent in your love, you put yourself at risk to be hurt, but you also put yourself in the position to be very happy. The blood could also be a symbol of life force instead of poison. There's two sides to both of it, I think. I think you don't get one side without the other side. I think it gives you a little bit of a warning to check what you let into your life, but I also think you don't want to close yourself off either. You need to still be open. Just because you get hurt doesn't mean that you should allow that to poison you and for you to close off. You should try to take it as an opportunity to rejuvenate yourself. The blood could be like an open wound, or it could be you rejuvenating yourself. Apples to me also represent knowledge, and I think in this case possibly the knowledge of emotions, of love, of not boxing yourself off. So let's see what the book has to say. So the little poem is, sweetest icon, risky, red desire, poison and freedom, tempting hearts afire. Apples have been a symbol of Samhain for a very long time. Apples, when cut in half, have a seed pattern that looks like a pentagram, and so the Celts held the fruit to be sacred. Bobbing for apples, a game traditionally played at Halloween, has its origins in the Samhain festival and is one of the oldest associated with the celebration. The traditional way to play is to place 3 or 13 apples in a barrel of water, and the game is to try and bite an apple while it floats and bobs in the water. Hands must not be used, and people often compete with each other, bobbing at the same time. It is believed that the Romans brought this custom to Britain, and there are quite a few images recorded through art of this activity in both cultures. It was said that unmarried women who placed the apple they had bobbed under their pillow would dream of their future husband. That reminds me, when I was a teenager and we had our coven, we did a Samhain ritual, we did a dumb dinner and all that, but one of the things that one of my friends wanted to do, there was 8 of us, is they wanted to do this apple thing where you bit into the apple and while you're looking into a mirror, and you're supposed to see the image of your future husband or your soulmate behind you in the mirror. The other side of this is that I had a friend who was always scared by the story of doppelgangers. The myth of the doppelganger that she had heard is that when you're going to die, you see your doppelganger in the mirror behind you. So anyways, we're all sitting in the circle, and I'm like probably the last one in the circle. My friend to the left of me is the one who started. And there's 8 of us, so by the time we get around to my friend who's on the left of me, there's only 4 of us left. The other 4 had gotten up and got to get a drink, go back, and other things. So they didn't want to stick around for this. It was going to be a very long process. Anyways, the friend that was sitting next to me, she was a year older than me. She was very stoic. She was a total like no bullshit type of girl. So I really didn't think much of it, that when it was her turn, nobody was really paying attention, and there was the four of us left, me and her sitting next to each other, and two friends sitting across the circle when there was a circle. One was meditating and the other one was just listening to what was going on. She was kind of like scoffing at the whole thing anyway. She went to go bite into the apple while she was looking at the mirror. So while she was doing that, I didn't think much of it, and I put my hand up behind her shoulder and I waved at her. Thinking that she would just say, "Oh, what the hell are you doing? I mean, come on." That's what I expected of her to say to me, just like, "What the hell are you doing? You're being an idiot." But no, she freaked out. She started screaming at the top of her lungs. As she was jumping up to her feet, she threw the apple to one side of the room, the mirror to the other side of the room. She ran one direction. The friend who was watching all this going on, she didn't know what was going on, but she freaked out and screamed. She ran to the other side of the room, and the friend who was meditating fell forward on her forehead. And I'm sitting there laughing my ass off. It was all I could do not to piss my pants. After I was done laughing, I had to get up and go to the bathroom because it was seriously, it was that bad. I don't know, it's one of those moments that every time I think of it, I laugh. It may be a mean sort of thing, but I laugh and it brings a smile to my face. It's one of those memories that I'll always have because it was funny as hell to me. I really was not expecting that reaction from her or my other friends, and yeah, maybe I wasn't intending for it to be mean. It just sort of turned out like that. So the apple on Samhain is definitely, it reminds me of that, and this whole little thing that they're talking about in the book here is something that we did. Anyways, let's go on, and this video is going to be so long. So what the book has to say now. Candy apples, apples on a stick covered in toffee. Although not quite as popular now as they once were as Halloween fare, are now making a comeback as a fun, simple treat to prepare on the night. Apples have been an iconic part of mythos from ancient times to modern. The story of the poison apple in Snow White, to the Roman goddess Pomona's magical apple tree, to the Christians tempting fruit in the Garden of Eden. Should you receive this apple in your reading, it's time to look at how risk plays out in your life. Are you hedging your bets and not trying anything new? Do you want to change but are not willing to change anything? Are you willing to take the risk to get the greater reward? Or alternatively, are you risking too much too often? So yes, I mean, this card is pretty straightforward about risk and reward. I think that's what this card has to offer us. But of course, there's always so much symbology with the apple itself that it could be read into that way as well. So anyways, on to Barmbrack. So the third card is Barmbrack, and it's the card that was meant to be for today. So this should catch me up, and I'll do another card tomorrow, hopefully. And the video should be a lot shorter starting tomorrow. So my first impressions of this card is, obviously Barmbrack is supposed to be this loaf here, but my attention is drawn straight to the faces of the pumpkins. It's the same, they use this type of face of the pumpkin in a lot of different cards in this box, as you can see there. But the pumpkins, they don't have the little cutout like where you're supposed to hollow them out. Obviously there's a candlelight inside, but there's no, like, you're supposed to cut the top off, so maybe they hollowed out the back. I don't know. I guess that's just technical stuff that I'm not supposed to worry about. After that, the loaf and the pan it's in, this type of pan with, I don't know if you can see it, it has ornate little embossed images on it. And my grandmother on my dad's side, she had a pan that was very similar to this. It was a wider pan, but the same idea, and black looking like this too, that she cooked she made cheesecake that everybody loved, and she cooked it in that. She also made other things as well. Anyways, this just strikes me right off the bat that reminds me of her pans. Also, there's a pumpkin back here that doesn't have a face on it, and there's two flowers from the vine of the pumpkin, and typically pumpkins have a male and a female flower, so that's making me think about balance, because the pumpkins are supposed to be the jack-o'-lanterns, I should say, are supposed to ward off evil or negative spirits. There's also the story of Jack, who I forget if he lost his, like if the pumpkin acts as a lantern or if he actually lost his head or something. It's supposed to be a replacement for that. I forget exactly what the story is, but there's something about how using a turnip, he actually used a turnip, and they use turnips, not pumpkins, for carving faces into. He used a hollowed out turnip for a lantern, and so, but in North America we started using pumpkins. It seems like there might be something about protect yourself with a facade that it doesn't mask your inner light, your inner authenticity, if that's a word. And Barmbrack, from what my understanding of it is that you put different items into it while you're baking, and the person who gets each item means something different, and it's sort of like a fortune telling type of thing. Whatever item you get in your slice of the Barmbrack is, or Barmbrack, whatever, says something about what your future might hold for that year. The Samhain can be considered the new year for some pagans, so that's where this sort of falls in line. Is this next year you might have this happen or that happen, according to what is in your slice of the sweet loaf. So the face on the pumpkins, the eyes are kind of looking like narrow but big smiley toothy grins, and knowing what the Barmbrack loaf is supposed to be sort of like an oracle fortune telling type of thing, it's almost like they're kind of like egging you on, like are you willing to see what your future holds type of thing. But also just it could be just something simple as in how do things in your life or situations in your life kind of sync up with what's going on deeper in your life. How do they kind of point towards what might be going on deeper within your life. How your modern day life kind of syncs up with tradition, or even are you carrying forward a tradition of or luck of people from your past. Anyways, let's see what the book has to say. So the little poem is: a pea, a cloth, a coin, a ring, and stick. Within a loaf of speckled sweetness, slice it and eat it. A glimpse of my fate's completeness. Not quite a cake and not quite a bread. Barmbrack is a sweet loaf, larger than a typical bread loaf, baked with flour, sugar, salt, and dried fruits such as raisins. The making of Barmbrack is an Irish tradition that still stands around Samhain Halloween. The person baking the loaf would be sure to set intentions for love, truth, and synergy whilst preparing. Inside the dough, a number of special objects are hidden and baked into the loaf. The objects are used as a kind of random oracle. Each one has a particular meaning which represents the fate of the person who found it in their slice. The traditional object includes a coin, a pea, a stick, a ring, and a small piece of cloth like muslin. Some other additions made in more modern times were religious medals. Should your slice of the brack contain a coin, this would indicate prosperity and good luck. The pea unfortunately meant that no marriage would occur for you that year. Yet finding the ring meant a marriage was certain. The stick, to be avoided at all costs, indicated disputes and unhappiness, and finding the cloth meant bad luck and little money ahead. When you pull the Barmbrack card, it indicates a curiosity to know what is ahead, but it's important to balance that with the now. After all, we have the tools to change our future should we choose. The sweet synergy of Barmbrack, all the ingredients, including the objects, are more complete and powerful together than they are individually, should encourage you to seek your own sweet spot. So I like how it sort of gives that tradition, how it works. Same with the bobbing of apples, it gives you a description of the bobbing of apples. And it gives a little what each thing means, so it's just kind of neat. But I also like that it says your future isn't set in stone. That you have the tools to change that if you want to. And also that all the ingredients together are stronger as a whole, which means all the things that they stand for, like good luck or bad luck, or marriage or not marriage, or unhappiness, or whatever that might mean. All these things, all these aspects of life together are stronger together than they are apart. And I always like that balance sort of thing, so that's probably why I like that. But then it's also mentions to find your own sweet spot. So you find your own sweet spot in that balance of things. Yeah, so that catches me up to doing 1 card a day, which will hopefully be a lot shorter than this video. Yeah, hopefully this will be a fun experience and get me into the Halloween mood. Anyways, this video is long enough.